Hey everyone, it's Jack and Ross back again. We suggested there might be enough for a second news video, and indeed there was. Ross, are you excited?
I can't wait, Jack. Please crack on with the headlines.
No, I certainly will. No time for banter this? No room for banter this time?
No, just news, straight news.
Let's do it.
Some people don't like the banter, you see, so they just rather you read the news in a very monotone voice, so do your best, like monotone, no thrills, no spills. Just read the headlines in a very boring manner. I'm looking forward to hearing you do this now, Jack.
Okay. A former WWE Superstar has spoken about their recent departure from the company. Elsewhere, Andrade El Idolo has pulled out of a wrestling show. And finally, John Cena has talked about a potential heel turn. More on that later in the show. There we go. How was that? That was all right.
I was like watching ITV News at 10. Good evening, so-and-so.
What I was trying to go for was, when you're listening to the radio and there's like a news story about some celebrity who's been caught up in a scandal. I was trying to go for the tone they read their name in. Like, I don't know who, like Prince William has... I don't know why Prince William, but that sort of thing. Anyway, on with the news. The first story involves a former WWE Superstar speaking to Mike Johnson of PW Insider, and it's Vanessa Bourne, who of course was part of a recent... Well, how long ago was she released? She wasn't the most recent ones, but she was quite recent.
Her tenure in WWE is like evolution, Jack. It is but a mystery, because she got called up to Raw, but not called up to Raw, and then she got released, but not released, but then she might have got released a long time ago. Who knows what went on with Vanessa Bourne?
Well, we certainly don't know the whole story, but she's given a few details, specifically on a part you mentioned there, that weird failed call-up to the main roster that never quite happened. She was saying to Mike Johnson of PW Insider, I was called in and they had a pitch where I was part of Retribution. I was excited about being on TV for something, but I had a lot of questions. I wanted to know what the group was about and how I fit in. I had some concerns because during this time there was stuff around the country with violence, and we're watching this unfold and it's not pretty. I wanted to know if our group was mimicking that. I expressed those concerns, but ultimately I wanted to do what I was told and try to figure out how I could help. This was during the time of all the political unrest in the United States. She said, within the week, I got a call from Mark Carano saying, we're not going to have you as part of Retribution and we're going to pull your contract. You're getting sent back to NXT. I felt like I got kicked in the gut. I would never want them to think that I didn't think an idea wasn't good or that I didn't want to participate. I would do anything and had done everything up until that point. After we talked, I sent him, Carano, a text saying, I'm so sorry if I came across not wanting to be part of anything. I'm here to work and I'm willing to do whatever. But he just said, this is where we're at. I still think back and kick myself and think I should have sat there, nodded and been happy. I was happy. I might have just given the wrong impression. Lesson learned. That is courtesy of PW Insider. Very strange situation there.
It must be a tough situation to find yourself in as well. Like, relatively new on the scene, didn't do much in NXT, but as we see, that doesn't always matter with cases like Elias and people like that. You arrive on the main event scene, the main roster scene, and you're sort of like, you've been pitched this thing that you're not too keen on. Do you say no and get a reputation perhaps of being difficult to work with? Do you say yes? And then maybe, as we also a Retribution, that goes nowhere, then you're a bit like sort of scuppered going forward. I don't envy being in that position, to be honest with you.
No, same. You might argue that... Well, no, because WWE are always, on documentaries and stuff, they're always saying, like, the best superstars are the ones who stood up for themselves and pushed back and didn't do what they didn't want and stuff. But then we see real-life examples of that happening, and it just doesn't work out. I think the moral of the story is, if you want to do that, you've got to already be a big star, which is a catch-22 situation and all. We don't know, she doesn't mention in this excerpt what she's going to do next or anything. So, I mean, I guess we'll keep an eye on that and see what happens in the future. But yeah, strange situation there for Vanessa Bourne. Elsewhere, another recently released WWE Superstar, Andrade El Idolo, has taken to social media to announce that he will not be appearing at an upcoming show he was booked on. It's not an AEW show. It's the debut event of Federación Wrestling. Andrade said in his post that a good arrangement was not reached with the new company. He was scheduled to team with Rouge, Bestia Del Ring, and a surprise unannounced partner against the team of Matt Taven, PJ Black, and the Briscoes. And it just didn't work. They've pulled out of the show, and in fact, so many people have pulled out of the show that Federación Wrestling have announced themselves that the event was scheduled to take place on June 19th and has now been put on high. It's been pushed back, essentially. We don't know when. So, bit of a murky situation there for Andrade.
It is, yeah. I've got no idea what to say. I thought you were going to throw at me there, Jack, to read some words. Otherwise, I've just sat here and said nothing.
Sorry.
Just let you do all the work again. I'm stealing a paycheck on these news videos.
I guess it's potentially a good thing for AEW because he's more focused on them now, I guess. But he is booked here and there in different parts. I think maybe this might have something to do with Ring of Honor because I think that Andrade's faction, the Faction Ingobernable, is like owned by or they're not owned by Ring of Honor, but they're all under contract with Ring of Honor at the minute. So maybe there was a bit of a disagreement.
Is that with his Scottish cousin called Roosh?
Yeah, Roosh, yeah. Because Andrade was part of, before WWE, he was aligned with Los Ingobernables, who of course gave birth to Los Ingobernables de Japón, which is why Andrade would often do the Naito like taunt and everything. Yeah, it was interesting.
Small world, isn't it?
It is a small, especially the world of wrestling. But he's not the only former WWE star who is in the news in this video, because we've also got to talk about a man who sort of has a similar name to you. Fred Rossa is his name.
That is a similar name to Ross Tweddle. Yes, it is. I used to get called Rossa, but it wasn't R-O-S-S-E-R. It was R-O-S-S-A. Which used to bug my mum, so it did. This is more important than the news. Used to bug my mum.
She didn't want you to have a nickname like that, yeah.
Yeah, correct. She gave me the name Ross because it couldn't be shortened, so people used to lengthen it. Used to rile her up.
Fair enough. I will throw to you for this one. What's he been? He's formerly known, of course, as Darren Young in WWE. What's he been saying on Twitter?
He's been on the Twitter machine, Jack, saying, "I'm excited to officially announce I've signed with New Japan Pro Wrestling. All I can say moving forward is, don't ever let your dreams just be dreams, because as long as you're patient and believe in your dreams, anything is possible. Patience." In the words of Take That, is a talent. Hashtag New Japan strong and all that. Block the hate. New Japan 1972. I saw someone on Twitter last night, just after this got announced, saying that Fred Ross's work in New Japan has been fantastic. I've forgotten who that person was, but I'm not going to doubt what they're saying because I've not seen a single Fred Rossa match in New Japan whatsoever.
He's been appearing on New Japan Strong in recent months, and apparently also made his debut in NWA Power at When Our Shadows Fall. I guess not on Power, on When Our Shadows Fall. But I've not seen any of his matches in New Japan Strong either. But it's very nice to know that he's still doing well in the world of wrestling. It feels like a long time since he's been in WWE.
That's the thing, we only know really from WWE and his time with Bob Backlund and the Primetime Players. And while, the Primetime Players were a pretty prominent act on Raw back in the day, sort of 2015 time, you still never really felt like you saw what he really had to offer as part of that tag team. It was always, he would get the beat down Winnie, then Titus would go, hoo, 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 big hot tag, and then he would come in and save the day. So yeah, he certainly got the look, hasn't he?
Yeah, 100%. I was never a huge fan of the Primetime Players, but they were quite prominent, you're right. And I think that it was another case of a tag team being broken up for not very solid reasons, and then it doesn't really help either of them out. And then, I mean, Titus has since gained a bit of infamy for falling under the ring and 24/7 champion and hosting WrestleMania and that. They've had very different career paths since the breakup, but it's nice to see Fred Rossa back in the thick of it. A man who has not been in the thick of it very much recently is, of course, John Cena, but he was speaking to a good friend of yours, Ross, Chris Van Vliet. What is he like as a man?
What is he like as a man?
Yeah.
Impressive is the word, Jack, I think, just from top to bottom, both in terms of how he presents himself, his prowess at the interviewing game, and just his general look. Some might call him perfect, but I don't want to say that.
He looks like Superman. He could play Superman in a thing. But he was interviewing John Cena, which probably made him look relatively normal-sized, I suppose. Looks like he'd never seen a gym in his life.
On an even keel with John Cena, I would say, in that interview. They had the split screen next to us, next door like we are now. Yeah. And I'd say if John Cena was part of set 1A in school, Chris Van Vliet could have been in set 1A too.
Wow, fair enough.
Fantastic, man. Fantastic.
They were talking about Cena's upcoming role in Fast and Furious 9, where Cena is apparently portraying a bad guy in the movie, and Chris Van Vliet asked Cena if portraying a bad guy is as close to a heel turn as the fans will ever see. Great question from Chris Van Vliet there.
You see, that's the class and the sophistication of the man. He knows he's getting this interview just because of Fast and Furious 9, but he knows he's got an audience of professional wrestling fans, so somehow he's pulled a blinder here, and he's merged the two into one seamless question. Fantastic.
Cena replied, "I think this is the beginning to showcase the fact that it is possible. As WWE invests and builds its roster, it has a wealth of talent and truly has many anchors to the ship now. Certainly Roman is being a very, very marketable and definitive star. But he went on to say, I think the reason for me not getting to explore that side, not ever getting to really turn heel, is because WWE didn't feel confident that they had any alternative, Cena just burying everyone else he worked with at the time. And I respect that business choice, I really do. But now with them really laying the foundation for the future, setting up life for the next decade or so, maybe, I don't know. Oh, very intriguing.
SummerSlam 2010 says hello, you penis. That's what I'm thinking there. We had chances to build more stars around you, John, but you didn't fancy it, did you? Tosser.
I feel like still bitter over Wade Barrett because I am.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I feel like Cena coming back, I think he's just being a bit of a tease here because I can't see them ever bringing him back as a heel. Surely not.
I mean, technically, they should never bring him back at all because the Fiend, Bray Wyatt, has got him trapped in this weird vortex with Triple H, who's also not been seen since he was put there by Bray Wyatt as well.
Yeah, although Triple H, I know you were being sarcastic, but what have we seen Triple H? Yes, he waved off Bad Bunny on his tour. He was see you later, Bad Bunny.
That's where he's been banished to. John Cena's in that derelict sort of wasteland desert thing where Bad Bunny went off on his tour.
Very interesting stuff.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah.
Well,
I'm looking forward to SummerSlam where John Cena will return.
Yes, absolutely.
Probably, maybe.
That's not confirmed. We'll move on now and finish with The Rock because he responded to WWE on Fox, the Twitter account. They were asking people to tweet with their most important WWE matches ever, or their picks for the most important WWE match ever. And The Rock chimed in saying that he believes it's Hulk Hogan versus the Iron Sheik in Madison Square Garden 1984, saying it's a seminal match with historic implications and a legit bounty thrown into the mix. I'm not quite certain what he means by that. Just the storyline.
Yeah, I assume it's just a storyline, yeah.
So not a legit bounty then?
No.
A kayfabe bounty.
Maybe there was a legit bounty, who knows? It was 1984, it was the Wild West back then. Brother.
All I really know about that whole situation is that Bob Backlund didn't feel like he wanted to drop the belt to Hogan because Hogan wasn't a legit shooter. He wasn't an amateur guy. But he respected the Iron Sheik enough to drop the belt to him because he was hard as ball.
Hulk Hogan had his leg broken by another man.
Yeah.
What more does he want? But I reckon The Rock's wrong. I'm going to do this typical wrestling fan thing where I just see the opinion of somebody else who's a fan of the wrestling, just tell them, your opinion's dead wrong. The most important match of all time is Bret Hart versus Stone Cold, the double turn, is it not?
Oh, I thought you were going to say Hogan Andre at WrestleMania 3.
Oh, mate, well, it's in the mix, certainly. I mean,
there's quite a few.
That opinion could be construed as wrong once again, Jack, because as we all know, we can't have different opinions and both be right at the same time, you know?
Absolutely not. That's not how it works in wrestling. But do leave your opinions, everybody, in the comment section down below so they can be disagreed with. And thank you very much for watching this video. We are going to be doing pitches. It's been confirmed now, so watch out later on a little bit in the week for Hell in a Cell pitches with myself, Ross, and Andrew Hodkinson, the man of the moment right now, Ross. Oh,
I'm not on his team. I'm not on Adam's team either. I'm on my own team.
Okay.
Go on, Ross. I don't know what happened.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you very soon.